Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon,
At
General.
20 past 3, at 20 past 3, you stop speaking,
Okay.
General.
No, I will comply, Chair, that I can promise. In fact, today you will give me a standing ovation. How are you, General? Are you okay?
I'm okay, thank you.
Yeah, so the total amount that was paid for the Medicare contract is 48 million.
It was 48 million.
Correct, okay. Now, the SCM boss in SAPS, when he was here last week, we had an argument with him because he was so convinced that even though the expenditure hereof was irregular, but there was value for money. And my argument to him was that there was no value for money because in his statement, he said the contract or the service provider underperformed. That's what he said. And he said that the contract was terminated even before the underperformance was corrected. So what is your take on that?
The issues of the performance of the contract would have been dealt with by the end user working together with supply chain management. And I heard him explaining the definition of irregular expenditure to say this expenditure that is incurred in contravention to prescripts that relates to supply chain management. However, the service was rendered. So the issue of value for money, for me, as I indicated, those that would have requested these services, thereafter they receive invoices, they certify to say we have received services and we are happy with these services. And they load invoices on the system for payment. For me, the reason why we are pushing for this forensic investigation is to probe exactly this. To say, on the other hand, there is an indication to say there were matters that were reported to the supply chain boss and they were dealt with. On the other hand, the end user has certified that they are satisfied with the work that was done by this one. So there's a bit of a contradiction. So we want the investigation to then unearth these particular gaps and tell us what exactly happened in this particular regard. So that is why we are pushing for this, because it will tell us exactly to say, is the end user or did the end user certify things that they were not supposed to certify? Did anyone engage themselves in unethical conduct or the elements of fraud where they would have certified things where work was not done? So this investigation must give us that, and we need to deal with this without any fear or favor to ensure that this serves as a deterrent and we never get to this point again.
So a determination will be made by the report of the investigation.
The forensic investigation will tell us
Will make a determination.
where services indeed rendered and where those services services that we could actually say this was value for money.
Okay.
If people certified things and work was not done properly, then it means those people engaged themselves in unethical conduct and they ought to be dealt with.
So if I get you correctly, you are saying at this stage you can't make that determination.
I can't make that determination.
Okay. On page 4, paragraph 10, you are making an indication that there's a new organizational structure which makes some amendments in the current structure. But specifically, this organizational structure makes the SCM to directly report to the CFO, to the CFO's office. And I think you went further to say it has not been implemented as yet. Now, do you find this, does this accord with rationality? Shouldn't the SCM unit be a distinct unit? Is it not going to overburden the CFO when you integrate the SCM unit into their office, into the office of the CFO? Are we not supposed to separate powers and the functions of the CFO and the SCM?
It will be a lot of work. As I indicated, SAPS is a huge institution. We have a big asset base. We have got issues that we need to deal with from a financial point of view. It will be a lot of work. I think the implementation in terms of this particular structure differs from department to department. In small departments, you will find supply chain management reporting to the CFO because it will not make any, it's not rational that supply chain is separate in a department that is deemed to be small. In a department as usual subs, that was the rationale why it was split in the first place. But I believe the leadership have got a reason why this decision was taken in this particular regard. But it will be a lot of work. It will require all the hands on deck to ensure that we work together and we ensure that we uphold the law in terms of ensuring that people comply to supply chain prescriptions. But it will be a lot of work.
Yeah, because my view, my honest view is that this is not an ideal mechanism. If anything, it will overburden the CFO. I'm asking that because this committee has a responsibility to make recommendations on policy reforms. So you can lobby us if you are saying, based on experience, this is not going to help the situation. If anything, it will exacerbate problems that are intrinsic in the operations of SAPS. So I just wanted to give you that leeway or that liberty, but we are not making use of it. So tell me, do you have, is there a committee in SAPS called Irregular, Fruitless and Wasteful Expenditure Committee?
I'm responsible for the fruitless and wasteful expenditure register. I'm the custodian. So I do have a committee, a very vibrant committee that meets from time to time to ensure that we are on top of the situation. You will note that fruitless and wasteful expenditure has actually declined in this regard. We have made a lot of work. On the other hand, the irregular expenditure register is the custodian of supply chain management. When I came in 2019, I established that particular committee, and that particular committee is supposed to be a function, but I cannot confirm or vouch for its effectiveness at this point in time. We have since requested supply chain management to revive that committee and ensure that that committee is effective and it's able to assist us. However, supply chain management head office is present. They do go to provinces. They do assist in terms of these transactions that are there to ensure that where there is uncertainty at the cost center, they are then able to can guide those particular cost centers. So it was two different committees. We do have the fruitless and wasteful expenditure one that is within the space, and the irregular expenditure one that is within the supply chain management space.
Yeah, no, thank you for that comprehensive report. You know what, the approach in this conversation that we're having is that I'm trying to test all the amendments which have been put before this committee in relation to matters which are financially, which relate to finance in SAPS. Now, there is an issue here about the blue light contract in Gauteng of irregular expenditure. Have you ever come across any finding of irregular expenditure with regards to that contract? Blue lights in Gauteng, if you know it.
I think those were investigations that took place prior to my arrival in head office. I have heard about those investigations and I've heard about the outcomes and the irregularities in terms of those. But those would be investigations that would have commenced before my arrival in Gauteng.
No, I'm saying during your tenure, have you ever dealt with a matter similar to that? Maybe to give you a hint, I think that matter was part of the reasons for the suspension of the former acting National Commissioner, General Patlane. Have you ever come, during your tenure, have you ever come across that kind of situation?
I've heard about it. As I indicated, when I arrived, those processes were at the tail end. When I arrived in head office, they were at the tail end. And when I arrived, it was General Stoll who was the National Commissioner. And I'm aware that those processes were reaching the tail, were at the tail end in this regard.
You know, one thing as I'm landing and as I'm concluding, that I can commend in your statement which is very commendable, is that you are not waffling and rambling. You are just dealing with issues which are related to your responsibility. And for that, you have made the work of this committee to be very easy. We are not dealing with a person who's all over the place talking about things she doesn't know anything about. So that's my compliment to you. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Are you done?
Sure, I would do honestly.